Good evening, everybody, for joining for the 59th session of Praktani Adda. So, today we have a speaker from the 2006 batch, Baibhab Kislay. He will be speaking on the topic pursuing a career in management consulting. And for the job of moderator, we have a person from Baibhab Das batch, Ravish Royda. He will be moderating the session from here onwards. So, without further ado, I would like to invite Ravish Da to introduce the speaker and start the proceedings.
Uh, Thanks, Satyam. I hope I'm audible to everybody. Uh, First of all, thanks a lot for organizing this, and the planning which got into this has been going from more than 15-20 days. So kudos for that, Satyam. And yeah, Vaibhav's introduction. First of all, I'm not very fluent in English, so थोड़ा तंग है. तो English में ही इंट्रोडक्शन होगा मोस्टली. आई होप दैट्स ऑल राइट विद एवरीबॉडी. So Vaibhav, we know each other from RK Mission. In fact, I have been like his shadow most of the time. तो पहले साथ में देवघर में थे, आरके मिशन में, फिर कोटा में साथ में थे, फिर आईआईटी में साथ में थे. Although we had different campuses, but we kept meeting. तो हम लोगों का स्पोर्ट्स मीट वगैरह होता था आईआईटी का, तो वी केप्ट मीटिंग देयर. एंड देन फाइनली बोथ ऑफ अस आर इन Bangalore here, and we keep try to meet more often. Yeah. So although the a topic of discussion is centered around management consulting, but I like to highlight the fact that what Baibhab had done till now, it has been very, very inspiring, and it has to be highlighted. Uh, Especially professionally, अगर हम देखते हैं, so he has a impeccable career, and I'll be choosing my words very carefully, and I'm saying this in a very responsible way. From RK Mission, uh, taking each and every next step has been, he has gone strength by strength, and he has, upped the level by multiple folds in every step. RK Mission, where both of us passed from 2006. उसके बाद he was in IIT. He graduated from there in 2013. This is the timeline I want to highlight. And after that, he joined the OG of India's startup, which is Flipkart. He spent 4 years there in various roles. And then did his MBA from US, UCLA. And after that, he joined Samsung in his strategy wing. Uh, and from 2017 to 2021, he was not in India. So MBA बाहर से कर रहा था, और फिर Samsung में भी वो बाहर रहा. And after that, he joined Onvo, which is a cross-border B2B e-commerce platform, as a core team member. And he was with Onvo. I guess he is still there in a way. So last 4 years, say from 2021 to 2024, he was in Onvo, and abhi he has joined Myntra's CEO's office from Feb 2024. So basically, Myntra was acquired by Flipkart, and he was working very closely with now Myntra's CEO, who must be working there in Flipkart with him. So the kind of value he has been adding, this is a statement that he directly joins the CEO's role. And abhi you will see a lot of CEOs of very big companies were in this role, CEO's office. So CEO's office itself is a highly sought out role. तो वैभव का कैरियर में मैं जब देखता हूं, तो इट लुक्स लाइक चेस का ग्रैंड मास्टर का जो मूव होता है ना, ईच मूव मेटिकुलस प्लानिंग एंड execution both. So although we'll be focusing on management consulting, but I'm very sure that we all can learn a lot, and get inspired by how he has taken each and every step has been taken with, you know, taking things a notch up, and the best thing that could have been done. So very inspiring that way. And as I've already told that I have been his shadow and उसके आसपास ही रहा हूँ मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम। तो थोड़ा बहुत आर के मिशन का ही बताता हूँ। सो वी शेयर्ड almost all the dhams together. He joined as a new boy and faced many hardship which a new boy faces in RK mission. And but we connected instantly. In fact, मेरा बेड और इसका बेड आमने सामने था when he joined in प्रेमानंद धाम। एंड वहाँ की एंडलेस स्टोरीज हैं, बट जो हमें याद आती है कि वहाँ पे एक महाराज थे, वो पब्लिक पिटाई लगती थी अगर कोई ऐसा क्राइम होता था विच इज नॉट ओन्ड बाय एनीवन। कोई मतलब पता पता नहीं चलता था। और प्रेमानंद धाम में क्या था कि विज्ञानंद धाम की भी जो क्राइम्स होते थे बाथिंग प्लेस रिलेटेड और बाथरूम बाथरूम रिलेटेड, उसके चक्कर में हम लोग भी पिटाते रहते थे। तो वहां से हमारा मतलब दोस्ती स्टार्ट हुआ। एंड देन कुछ ही हैज बीन मतलब ही इज अ ग्रेट टीटी प्लेयर, और इंटर आईटी स्पोर्ट्स में भी टीटी की वजह से ही मिलता था। और हमारे बैच में ऑलमोस्ट सबको टीटी खेलना सिखाया। पहले दाहिने हाथ से खेल के हराता था और फिर बाएं हाथ से हराता था। तो जो दो चार लोग सीखे हैं हमारे बैच में टीटी, इट्स मोस्टली हिज इनपुट। एंड या योगान धाम में जब हम लोग थे तो वी यूज टू प्ले लॉट ऑफ बाथ प्लेस धाम क्रिकेट। तो थोड़ा वहाँ पे बैट स्मगल करके ले आना। एंड इनफैक्ट वहाँ पे हमारा इंटर धाम कंपटीशन होने लगा था, यू नो, लाइक इंडिया पाकिस्तान, युगान धाम वर्सेस राम धाम। एंड वाज अ टॉर्च bearer there, you know, face of our युगान धाम, yeah, राम धाम intense rivalry. So एक दो जो चीजें मैं हाईलाइट करना चाहता हूँ वैभव के लिए, कि मतलब ही होल्ड्स 2 गिनीज रिकॉर्ड इन आरकेएम पर्सपेक्टिव, स्पेशली इन क्रिकेट। एक तो he has given 48 runs in a single over while bowling. I just want to clarify. So don't ask me how, but he just did it in a tournament. And the second Guinness world record will be, you know, जो इंटेंस मैच हुआ था राम धाम और युगान धाम के बीच में। सो ही हिट अ सिक्स वेयर द बॉल हैज स्टिल नॉट लैंडेड। तो बॉल अभी तक जा ही रहा है हमारे बैच में। इट्स एवरीबॉडी नोज अबाउट इट, बट नाउ अ लार्जर ऑडियंस कैन आल्सो यू नो get some knowledge about it. So that's all. Very fun guy, and he's just exploded on the scene. A lot more to talk about. IIT maybe he has multiple you know dimensions. He participated in social and cultural activities, dramatics, and whatnot. But I'll keep that. I'll take a pause for this introduction, and pass this baton to Baibhab to take this forward, or Satyam. But yeah, Vaibhav, kudos, you have been doing great. And I'm sure जो तुम्हारी जर्नी रही है, प्रोफेशनल जर्नी रही है, so we are just I think 20-25%, and we are very hopeful to see big things coming soon.
First of all, thanks a lot, Ravish, for those kind words. And it seems a lot of research has gone into it, including remembering the old days from Ramkrishna Mission. One thing I just want to add there, like nobody knows, and Ravish might not remember, but as a new admit to Ramkrishna Mission, when I was roaming around, the first person to come up to talk to me to ask, "Who are you? Which class? Which batch? Which dham?" was Ravish. So I remember that it was, I don't remember the field number, but it was a smaller field beside our temple. We used to play like Abodhanand Dham के सामने वाला जो छोटा वाला field था. I was walking there, and Ravish came up to me, was playing. He came up to me like, "Oh, कौन हो? कहाँ से हो? क्या हो?" But that was the first instance that I had with Ravish. And then, as Ravish mentioned, over the course of 4 years, we were quite in the similar dhams and all. And after that also, uh, the words were too kind, I would say. Like, frankly, I didn't plan any of those. things that Ravish missed was I struggled for 1 year trying to crack UPSC in Delhi. Few of my friends from Ramakrishna Mission were there also. So it was not all rosy, and it was not as planned as Ravish is kindly mentioning. I just went with the flow with only two, three things in mind, that I need to come back to India. That's it, nothing else. And I want to give to shout out to Ritesh Da Satyam for organizing this, not only this session but all the sessions which have been useful to the alumni, and helping the speakers and the moderators on how to prepare, what to do, what not to do. So a big shout out to the Praktani team. I think we'll start. Given we are already 10 minutes into the session, I want to just start and give an idea about the session that I wanted to talk about. It's pursuing a career in management consulting. So basically, consulting has become very prevalent in the world. Started back in 1930. It was not a as simple or straightforward industry that it seems today. It started with multiple people doing multiple things, and then finally the founder of McKinsey coming together and making a management consulting industry. And from there, its rest all is history, because consultants have become indispensable to any big company in the world right now. And consulting is one of the most sought after jobs in the world, with only not only less than 5% success rate from applications to getting the job. So I thought, given I have done something in consulting, I won't say I'm the expert, but I've done around 2 years in MBA college, and then 2 years after that, 4 years of consulting. So I thought, after talking to Ritesh, that might be useful to some of the Praktani brothers who might be just graduating, or even to dadas who have children who might be in college or who might be thinking about their next career move. So without further, let's get into that agenda of the today session. Satyam, if you can just go to the next slide, please. So today I want to cover three things. What is consulting? Why consulting for anybody? And then how to become a consultant, and what's the career progression that you can expect. So starting with the first, what is consulting? So there's a very large definition, that different definition that different companies put. But Satyam, if you can go to the next slide. Basically, consulting equation has four elements. There's a client who needs advice, for which an expert is needed, who is professional enough to give the client the right advice. This is in nutshell a consulting, but you can ask, why is it consulting, why not advisory? So there's a difference, little bit of nuance difference. Some people club it together, some people keep it different, but basically giving the business of giving expert advice to other professionals, not just anybody, is the whole industry of consulting, right? When it's done within a particular field, that adds value to it, and the people who gives this advice are called consultants. Now, if we think about this, there are multiple types of consulting that can happen. But today's focus I want to do on management consulting. Management consultants occupy their mind space and time with solving the business problems of either big or large corporations, startups, even government or NGOs. So, Satyam, can you go to the next slide? So, who is a consultant? What is the role of a consultant? Why they are needed? So, basically, a consultant you can think about is like a doctor for a business. If a business is suffering, the consultant will come and assess the symptoms. They will try to identify the problem. What are the problems which are, causing these symptoms? Define the problem. Then they will get into the diagnosis mode. Like they will collect and analyze a lot of data, try to identify the root cause of the problem. Based on that, they will prescribe some solutions to the client, right? And the solutions could be just strategic level, or a course of action, or a deep down on each and every levers which can improve the problem that the business is facing. And then one of the most important part of the consulting role is to socialize with all the stakeholders in the client, right? Basically, organization, let's take an example of Google. it's a multi-layered organization. The consulting project might have been started with the Google's chief technology officer, but at the end of the day, it has to be socialized with all the stakeholders who are gonna get affected, and all the stakeholders who are the decision makers for anything in Google, right? So it's very important for a consultant to have a right bedside manner so your patients attendees are happy with you. And finally, there's a follow up care where consultants also help with implementing those recommendations if needed. So, 1 to 4 is the step that most of the consulting companies, all of the consulting companies rather do. The fifth part, which is the implementation part, depends on the scope of the project. For example, the companies which specialize in strategy consulting, they will do only 1 to 4. But then there are companies who will even go further, like Deloitte, who will help you in implementation. Having said that, today, because every consulting company also is trying to grow, the the boundary between line number 4 and 5 is getting diluted. The the companies who were doing just strategy consulting are getting into implementation, and now the companies who were doing implementation part now are trying to get into the strategy consulting bit also. So that is the whole landscape of what a consultant do. Satyam, next please. So if we look at overall management consulting industry landscape, so there's a pure strategy, which is a business strategy, like why, for example, why my growth is not happening, or why I am losing money, I'm not becoming profitable. That's a pure strategy question. Then there are different angles, like what should be my marketing strategy. Like I want to, a brand want to reinvent its brand image. So what should be the marketing strategy, or a financial strategy on how to reduce cost, or operational strategy how to improve efficiency for a supply chain company, or even a technology strategy where what should be our tech stack which will help reduce the number of man hours required to do regular and mundane jobs. So these are overlapping with strategy, but also, as we mentioned, there's an implementation part. So that's why you see the center black Venn diagram is pure strategy, and then there's an overlap where the marketing consulting will look at strategy also and implementation also. Operation consulting will again do the same thing. So I hope this is overall clear about the industry landscape. So Satyam, if you can go next. Now, just to give an idea about who are these firms, right? The father of all consulting was McKinsey back in 1930. From there, somebody from McKinsey started BCG, Boston Consulting Group, and from somebody in BCG, they started Bain, and they are called the Big Three or the MBB of the consulting world. After that, there are tier two consulting firms like Accenture, A.T. Kearney, Oliver Wyman, LEK Consulting, who are not as big as them, and they also try to specialize in some other things. Then there are big four of the accounting worlds: Deloitte, KPMG, PwC, and EY. Originally, they were accounting firms, but given the traction in consulting, they started their own strategy consulting and other consulting arms. So the way they started was because these three MBBs or even the tier two, they used to do only strategy consulting. So they got into consulting world by doing the implementation of the recommendation of these strategy consulting firms. But step by step, they have acquired small and niche strategy consulting firms to have a holistic offering for our client. For example, Deloitte acquired Monitor. KPMG, I don't think I've acquired recently, but PwC acquired a strategy and from Booz and Co. And EY acquired Parthenon. So now they have a end-to-end solution for any client. And then there are boutique firms who specialize in specific areas. For example, there will be a specific HR specialization of consulting, there will be marketing specialist in consulting. So there are boutique firms too, which offer also some other things. Okay, Satyam, can we go next? So after going through the landscape of the overall consulting world, next section that I want to talk about is why consulting. Why should anyone think even about consulting? But before that, I just want to take a pause and see if there is any question. And please, folks, feel free to stop me anytime. Any question or any clarification you need, you can stop me. It's not a monologue that I want to give. I just want to keep it more interactive.
So are there any like prominent Indian consulting firms or just these big multinational companies are there?
So if you look at in India, the top consulting firms are still these multinational companies because they have a big legacy, they have big tie-ups with governments, and the main allure of a consulting firm, why would anybody hire a consulting firm, is mainly two. One, internally they don't have the, mainly three actually. One, internally they don't have the bandwidth or expertise. Second, they don't have the data. And these consulting firms, because they have been working on different projects across the globe, they are sitting on a data treasure. And the third is they want external validation, and that's why they want to go to experts. So given that, just like any education institution, we say that all the top education institutions are international in a global ranking. So that's the same in India also. In India also, the top consulting firms are these MNCs. There are few firms which have started, but they are still in considered boutique and small. Hope, Satyam, that answers your question.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, what are the benefits of choosing consulting as a career? First and foremost, benefit, the same reason that anybody wants to go to an IIT or a reputed tier A management firm, is building a brand name and credibility. Getting into a MBB itself gives confidence to everybody that this person has an X factor, this person has something different. It might not be the genie, he or she need not be a genius, he or she need not be the most hardworking, but the combination of everything is such that they are able to crack into the MBB, which are the most coveted, right? So it gives you brand name. Tomorrow if you tell somebody I worked in McKinsey for 5 years, everybody will say, oh, that person must be smart, that person must be credible, and I can hire that person anytime. So it gives a good brand name and credit to your resume. Second, it's a variety of work that you are exposed to in consulting is humongous, because mostly you will work on 3 to 6 months project. The way consulting works is on projects for different companies. So once you enter, at least in the early years of your consulting, you will be staffed on different projects, and you will have a say. You can go up to a partner or a HR to say, I want to work in a project which is real estate related, just to get a flavor of the industry. So it exposes you to multiple industries and multiple functions before you form up your mind that, okay, this is the industry or this is the function which is of interest to me and I want to build my career on. So it gives you a huge exposure. Then third, it will help you build the problem solving toolkit. So if I take my own example, after my IIT, I worked in Flipkart, which was still a startup, not that big, and I worked mostly on execution things, mostly on growing business. But the thinking process was not structured. I was tackling day-to-day problems, thinking little bit. Long term for me was 3 to 6 months, not more than that. And everybody talks about having a bird's eye view. That was missing. What consulting does, it forces you, it trains you to think of a problem in a structured manner, so you're not boiling the ocean. Because let's say there's a problem that my revenue are not growing, there could be n number of factors including internal and external. If you start analyzing everything, you will get lost. It's called analysis paralysis. So consulting forces a framework on you, gives you a structure to think about problems in which you can have quick wins. It's called 80-20 rule. By doing 20% of effort, you get 80% of the result. So it helps you build that problem solving toolkit, which is of immense benefit later in your career. And I would say even in your personal life, you start seeing your personal life problems in a different manner, you are start approaching in a more different manner. It helps you be centered in your personal life also. At least I felt that in my case. Apart from that, because you will be working on projects which are sponsored by CXOs of companies, you will have good rapport. You will get good face time with, let's say, a CEO of a big company or chief marketing officer, chief financial officer. They become your stakeholder, which if you were working in the company maybe for 5, 6, 10 years, you won't get the opportunity to get so much face time with them, build a relationship with them. What consulting does, it help you network and help build connections with different CXOs. And finally, in my opinion, the least important thing in long term is great compensation. In any of the undergrad campus or MBA campus, consulting firms are the one who pays one of the highest. So they ask you a lot of hours. You have to work hard, but they pay you well. They treat you well. So, in my opinion, these are the major five reasons why anyone should choose consulting as a career. Satyam, can you go to the next one? Okay. So, I just wanted to highlight that the exit after you get from a consulting role, maybe 2 years, you leave the consulting role in 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, it doesn't matter. You will be so equipped that most of the CEOs, founders, and a lot of people in government and non-profit are having the consulting background. So ex-CEO of Mercedes, Levi's, Vodafone, even our Sundar Pichai worked in McKinsey, Pepsi, Indra Nui, eBay, Boeing. They all had their CEOs who worked in consulting. The founders of these unicorns and decacorns like Warby Parker, Intuit, Rivigo, Grab, Cars24 in India, they all have consulting background. And Israel's head of the state, Benjamin Netanyahu, Mitt Romney, the Republican, if you follow the US political landscape, Chelsea Clinton, who is Bill Clinton's daughter, Charlotte Hogg, who was, I think, head of Federal Bank of England. All of these people come from a consulting background. McKinsey is called the CEO factory of the world because highest percentage of CEO are McKinsey alums, followed by Unilever, I think. So it's to tell you that the consulting is like an alma mater, just like your college. Consulting becomes uh, yeah, consulting is preparing for your next role. For very few people, consulting is an end in itself. Let's say, I think only 5% of people keep in consulting all their lifetime, less than that. Most of the people move out of consulting and go on to do bigger and better things also. So that's the allure of consulting. Satyam, next. We talked about the pros, but I would not be honest if I don't talk about the cons. So, consulting, as they say, is a lifestyle, not just a job, because it will consume you. You'll have 3, 4, 5 life. You'll have long hours, and it has a very highly meritocratic culture of up or out. What is meaning of 3, 4, 5? The traditional consulting works in a way where you go to your client site, you sit with the client to understand their problem, do analysis. So 3 days in a 5 day work week, 3 days you will be on the client site, or you will sleep in the hotel. 4 days you will be on the client side, and the fifth day you will be back in the office, synthesizing whatever you learned, walking your team through it, doing analysis, everything. And if you're lucky, then you will get weekends off. And even those 5 days, general working hours for a consultant is around 14 to 16 hours daily. There was one project in Samsung that I was working on. I was working around 18 hours on a daily basis for like 1.5 months. So it's not easy actually. It's taxing on your body. It's taxing on your mind. You feel exhausted. And then after everything, there's up or out culture. So we'll go through how the consulting career progresses. It's like if you are not progressing to the next step in the defined timeline with plus minus some leeway, you will be shown the door. You'll have to find something outside. It's either you grow or you go out. So not a lot of people are able to cope with the lifestyle for long period of time, so they go out by themselves. And then those who remain, only the top performers go up, rest are asked to leave. So there here by cartoon, you can see that, and the clients, the expectation is consultants are available 24/7 on a phone call or whenever they want, because they are paying big bucks. The average fee that a McKinsey, BCG, or Bain charges for a 3 months project is around $1 million. So because they are paying so much, they expect for you to be available the whole time the project is on. So it's up to an individual to think that is this the lifestyle that I want even for a 2 year period, or is this the lifestyle that I can sustain for a long period of time. It has its upside, it has downside, like everything in life, but it's up to the individual to think what they want. Okay, Satyam, next. So, having talked about the landscape and why pros and cons of consulting, now let's come to the last part of this talk, which is how to become a consultant and what is the career progression after being a consultant. So, Satyam, if you can go. Okay. To before understand how to become a consultant, we need to understand a little bit about what does a consultant do on a day-to-day basis. What is the general repetitive work that they do across different projects. So there's a 7-step process that every consulting project mostly goes through, a strategy consulting project. As we discussed, first of all, defining the problem. Most of the time what we were taught in consulting, and most of the time which I saw to be the truth, is the client most of the time doesn't know the actual problem. They might be talking about the symptoms of a problem. So it's the job of a consultant to identify the real problem which is causing those symptoms. So defining the problems, then collecting the fact, then doing a market benchmarking, identifying the best practices of how other companies who are successful in the same domain, what are their best practices which can solve these problems. Then outline an implementation plan, then socialize it with everybody in the client side. Then finally, after socializing, taking their feedback, recommend a solution. And if they are part of also the implementation phase, then ensure improvements are sustainable by helping them implement. Now, doing all of this requires different type of skill set, and that's what a consulting interview process is designed to assess. So if you can go to the next slide, Satyam. So, what are the 8 successful traits of a consultant that the big firms like MBB have seen? First and foremost, because it's a tough job. So, only people who have big ambition for success, they are able to sustain in this lifestyle. They should have strong analytical and problem solving skills because your life will depend on it. The whole job is about problem solving. There is no business as usual day in a life of consultant, like we say in other companies that okay, it's business as usual. There's not much different that we need to do. For a consultant, every day is a problem solving day. Then the third important part is resource management skills, because a consulting project will have one partner, one associate partner, one team leader, and 2 3 consultant. 8 or 9 people team or regular consulting project, strategy consulting project will have, and they have to analyze what a big company function of 100 people are not able to do. So how do we manage the resource available? That becomes a very important charter for a consultant, and especially in a time constraint manner. Then fourth, that requires adaptability and continuous learning. You can't be rigid in your approach. You have to be flexible, because every day you will unearth new data, every day you will unearth new information, and you have to incorporate that in your ways of thinking, in your analysis, and improve your work strategy there. Then the fifth part is not as relevant in the beginning years, but as you grow in the industry, as you grow in the company, the deep understanding of business and industry is required, because then as a case leader or as a partner on the project, you will be able to guide your team. Then sixth is one of the most important trait I would say is excellent communication and interpersonal skill. योर डेली, जो हम लोग बोलते हैं रोज आप सुबह उठोगे बैठोगे विथ द CXOs of a company, your client. First of all, they are your client, so you have to be very tactful with them. You can't be blunt, you can't be rude, because they are your client and you want them to keep giving you projects, because that's how you earn money, right? So you have to be courteous, but at the same time you need to land the right message, the right recommendation which will help your client. Your client might not want to hear the hard truth sometime. So how do you deliver that tactfully without offending the client? It depends a lot on your communication and interpersonal skill. And success of a project really depend on that. You will do a phenomenal work, you will do a lot of analysis, but if you're not able to communicate and convince the client, then your work will be without any results, right? Then seventh is strategic thinking and business intuition. See, there's only little bit like till a point your data can help you, but after that your strategic thinking, your creative thinking, and business acumen and cross pollination of ideas from maybe other industry or other function, that's what you have to bring to the project. And the people who do it are the people who are more successful. And finally, because you will work with 7 8 people for 3 months, 16 hours day in day out, and with the client, so having a big collaboration and teamwork skill is very 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 important. I cannot emphasize enough. The ICs, the individual contributors in a consulting role, they don't progress very far. The people who progress are the one who understand how to drive a team, even at a lower level or entry level, how to work with the team. So these are the successful traits of the consultant that the consulting firms have seen, and that's what they want to assess. That's what they want to find out in a potential candidate. So Satyam, if you can go to the next slide. So before going to the this whole consulting interview process, I want to highlight consulting career progression, how it happens. You start as an analyst and then a consultant, where your role is just to gather and analyze data and build the presentation. Then there's a senior consultant who will lead a work stream. Work stream is out of the whole project that will divide it into work streams. For example, let's say why my profitability is down. It will have one revenue work stream which will check, is your revenue down? Other will be a cost work stream which can check, is your cost up? So there will be different work stream on a project. The senior consultants lead those work stream, and they have one or two analysts below them. Then there's a manager who will overall lead the whole project and the whole team below that, and manage client relationship. Then there are principal or associate partners, and the top level there's a partner. Now they have introduced senior partner, MD, other things, but the partner is the level where you are not just project, you are selling new projects, you are defining firm strategy, you buy in to the firm, and your compensation and then is tied to firm's revenue, and it's not only fixed compensation that you get. You become the part owner of the firm itself. So this is how the career progression looks like in a consulting. Can you go to next slide, Satyam? Okay. Now, there are three different time periods where you can get into consulting, and it differs a little bit by different consulting firm. Here we have chalked out McKinsey, BCG, Bain, Deloitte, and Accenture. So, in the initial phases, 1 to 3 years are the one where you get after undergrad. You start as an associate or an analyst, different names in different companies, where you work for 2 to 3 years to graduate to the next level. And the next level is the one where MBA entry happens. After doing an MBA, if you get into a consulting firm, this is how you get into. You become an associate in McKinsey, consultant in Bain and BCG, a senior consultant in Deloitte and Accenture, right? That's the MBA entry. Then there's a lateral hire, which is called experience hired entry, where after your undergrad or your MBA, you have worked in different industry, different function, you have built expertise, and you think that I want to do consulting now and I want to focus on this industry, and you want to be a specialist in the industry. And the consulting firms are divided by industry and functions, and you think you can add value to a particular consulting company by becoming a specialist in that division. So that's how you try to get into that. Now, from left to right, from undergraduate to MBA to experience hire, the chances of getting an entry becomes harder. It's easiest to get into consulting world after MBA. The competition becomes very very tough at the MBA level, and the opportunities and openings at experience higher level itself are so limited that it becomes hard to crack. It's not impossible, but it becomes very hard to crack into consulting world after, let's say, spending 7 to 10 years in the industry, right? So that not to say that you should not, you can anytime try to get into consulting world. It's just about how easy or how hard you will find it. Next slide please. Okay. Now there are three things, and this is very generic that I want to put here. It differs by different companies. It differs by different stages that we just saw. Where are you trying to get into entry into? But overall, there are three steps to getting and cracking a consulting interview. First of all, you need to get your resume shortlisted. Second, you need to network a lot. And third, then you have to clear the interviews. So, how can you get your resume shortlisted? First, if you are trying to get into it after an undergrad or a MBA, have a high CGPA or high rank in your stream, because they want to take, they also have their own biases, and they want to look at somebody who has already excelled, so that the time they spend to find the right candidate is optimized. So they also have their filtering criteria, and CGPA is one of the criteria. Second, the consulting firms want a well-rounded individual, as well as they want specialists. But in the initial years, the need for a generalist is higher, because everybody who enters at after undergrad or MBA starts as a generalist, not a specialist in any industry or function. So they want a well-rounded individual. So build your resume, and in your resume highlight things you have done outside just academics, or just your work. Even in work, you might have done something which is not in your responsibility area. Highlight that. That will help you highlight that, okay, I'm a team player, I go above and beyond, I'm a well-rounded individual. And then third point is make resume in a consulting format. So there are hundreds of resume formats out there. Consultants are bad in a sense that they are set in their ways. So it's for the candidate to adapt to those ways, rather than expecting a HR of a consulting firm to just go through the resume. There's a stat that in McKinsey, Bain, BCG, average time spent on every resume is around 7 to 10 seconds. And now what they have done, they have employed machine learning to shortlist resume, because they get so many applications. So it's very very important to tailor your resume in a way which will catch the eyes of the HR, recruiter, or even the machine. For that, one thing is to again tailor a resume in a way which suits the ethos of the companies. Every consulting firm tries to, you know uh, how do you separate itself in image from other. McKinsey will have different ethos, Bain will have different ethos, BCG will have different ethos. For example, BCG put a lot of emphasis on having intellectual prowess, whereas Bain is lot more collaborative. It's a fraternity like culture. And McKinsey is more, are you set in McKinsey way? Can you follow a structure? Can you follow a path? They have different ethos. So wherever you are applying, the resume should be tailored to even that company, not only just consulting, but even in consulting, you'll have different resume for different companies, different cover letters for different companies. It should not be a generic one, because then it will get lost in the pile of thousands of applications they get every year. So resume is one of the more, resume and cover letter is the first step. After you get it, let's say your resume was shortlisted, right? The most important thing to do is to network. And by networking, it's just not hollow networking. First of all, the shortlisted candidates are invited by the firms to come attend their seminars, to meet people, to meet consultants. you know Once you go there, you meet, they want you to see that this is how we operate, this is what we are, and want you to ascertain. They, all of them say it's not a one way process, it's a two-way evaluation. They want you to evaluate, is this the right firm for me? Do I see myself sitting here 16 hours a day working with these people, right? So what you can do after you go there, you can try to have good conversation, then set up some coffee chats with the employees of those firms to understand more in depth what is their day to day like, what is their problems that they are tackling, what are the things they have seen that works in a candidate, because they have gone through the same journey. They can help you, or they can tell you some secrets about the firm, which firm admires but doesn't broadcasts. So build genuine connections. And the best part is if you can get a sponsor. What does it mean? A sponsor is somebody inside who can say on your behalf at the time when they are discussing your case, that yes, I like this person, I think it will be a great addition, I am willing to put my name with that person. So if you get a sponsor, especially a sponsor who is a partner level sponsor, your chances of getting into the firm becomes so much higher. Coming to the last part is interviews. Now different stage will have different set of interviews, like different formats, different number of rounds. But for undergrad and MBA, there are mostly 2 rounds of the interviews that happens. In each round multiple interview will happen, and we can divide the interview in 2 parts. One is a fit interview and second is case study interview. So fit interview is there to test your interpersonal skills, and something what McKinsey calls the airport test. They want to see your personality. As I have been mentioning multiple times, that you will work in a small enclosed room for 16 hours for 3 months with same set of people. They want to see that is this the person that I can work with so hard and so much on a day-to-day basis. The definition of airport test is, let's say you are going somewhere, it's more suitable for US. Let's say you are going from Chicago to somewhere, and there is a snowstorm because of which all the flights are grounded, and you are stuck with your teammate in the airport for 10 hours, 15 hours without work. Do you think your teammate is, have a strong enough or vibrant enough personality that you feel happy and you feel at ease to be with that person, or is that become a problem for you? Like, that's the airport test that they do in the fit interview, right? Look at your personality, look at you and see that will you fit into the ethics and the cultural environment of the company. So that is one aspect. And the second aspect is a study interview, where they will give you a case, the real life case that they have tackled, somebody has tackled in the company. They will give you and see how you approach the problem, how much of analytical person you are, how much structured approach you have, do you have creative thinking, are you pragmatic, or are you just very theoretical in nature and looking at recommendations which is basically non-implementable. Do you have flexibility to adapt to new informations if you are provided over the course of the interview? And finally, do you have the confidence? Does the interviewer think that yes, I can place this person in front of the client, in front of the CXOs of big companies? That is the confidence that they are looking for. So, in a nutshell, this is the 3 steps that you need to think about. You need to really make it a habit if you want to crack into consulting. And I can't stress enough the value of networking here, because a lot of people think, and especially we Indians, हमारे यहाँ कहते हैं ना, अपना काम करो, बाकी सब हो जाएगा, उतना करने का जरूरत नहीं है. No, in consulting you should network, you have to network, you have to be memorable, you should find a sponsor. That becomes, I can't emphasize enough on the importance of networking, because sometimes you will be up against people who are networking even prior to sending the resume. They have talked to a lot of people in an office and asked them a lot of questions, form a bond with them, and after that they send a resume. Better, they will they will refer you internally, and that makes the chances of getting into interview and clearing it even higher. I remember one of the interviewer of Bain, that person actually sat with me and did 2 test case study. He helped me prepare for case study interview. That kind of bond, if you're able to form, your chances of cracking a consulting firm will be that much easier. Satyam, if you can go to next slide. So we talked about fit interview. I want to highlight the case study interviews, because these are very specific to consulting world. Now the tech companies, the product management interviews are also bringing some aspect of case study interviews, but it generally started with the case study interview, right? So there are 2 ways to classify a case study interview. One is, what are the formats? Some case studies interviews are interviewer led, where, what does that mean? Interviewer will guide you through the interview. For example, they will say, okay, the first problem, the client wants you to find this. Then he will give you some information, ask you direct questions, that these are two questions that I want you to answer this stage. You answer that, then they will give you next question. And that's how the interview progresses, that the interviewer will give you information, keep asking you question. And that is how McKinsey does his interviews. But Bain and McKinsey, they have little bit different interview method. They are candidate led. You will be given an overall client problem, then it's up to you to drive that interview forward. You have to say that, okay, this is, let's say, revenue is a problem for the client. I want to look at these three things. I want to look at their unit sales, their average selling price, or XYZ. I want to look at these three things. Do we have any information about these? You ask for what kind of data do you want to analyze. Obviously the interviewer in the process will help you, will guide you, will say yes, we have this data, and they will give you the data. Or if that data is not available, they say no, we don't have the data, what else can you do? So they leave it to you to navigate the problem, come up with a solution. And that's what they, the way they want to test, what they want to test is how independent you are, how structured you are, how much you can think on the feet yourself, right? Then there are written cases where you are given something and you have to write the answers or solve the case in a word format. Then they can be group cases. I remember EY, the last round was a group case where they are trying to test how much you can collaborate and work with her in a team setting, where what they do, they will give partial information to everybody in the group, and it's like a GD where you are part of a team and trying to come up with a solution, you know so they want to see how much you can collaborate, and they will sometimes give conflict information. They want to see, are you on the offensive with your teammate, or are you trying to find a common ground? So there is a group case format. And then there's a presentation only format where you will given, like Bain Southeast Asia does this, where you will be given an information packet up front. And then with the data and everything, lot of data. Now you will given 1 hour to synthesize all the data and provide a recommendation to the problem stated in that data pack, information pack that you are given. So basically simulating the real life experience of being a consultant, and then you have to present your findings to the partners, the interviewers, who will grill you like a client does. So these are the formats of different case interviews. Pardon me. And then the case interviews itself can be divided into three types of cases, six type of cases. There will be a profitability, like these are the most generic cases that you expect to face in one of the interviews. Let's say the round one you will have profitability case, or round two you have market study framework, where a company wants to get into a certain segment of a market, and they want you to do market study and feasibility analysis. Then there are non-profitable cases, there are merger and acquisition cases, there are early stage ventures. So these are six large classifications of different type of cases. And to prepare for that, there's lot of material available. So if you can go to next slide, Satyam. So the resources available to prepare for the case studies, uh, 2 to 3 books, I would say definitely anybody who wants to get into consulting should read it. Victor Cheng's case interview videos, and sorry, the books are Case Interview Secrets by Victor Cheng and Case in Point by Mark Cosentino. These two books give you a holistic idea. The things that I've captured here in 40 minutes, they give you a detail about what is a consulting work, what is their day-to-day life, what are the problems they face, how are they successful, how are they unsuccessful, what is the interviewer expectation for each and every different firms, McKinsey, Bain, BCG, how are they different from each other? And then they will give you idea about what kind of personality they are looking for to help you with the fit interview. And then finally cases, what are different type of cases for each of the firms. They will give you a holistic approach, right? Then apart from that, Victor Cheng has a great interactive case interview videos, where you can see real life videos of he doing case interview with different people. Then crafting cases, where ex MBB consultants come up, they put case interview tips and tricks They are there. And then there are three websites that I followed: myconsultingcourse.com, caseinterview.com, and managementconsultant.com. So these things, if you go through it, I understand there's a lot of literature available, but go through one of them, talk to people who have successfully cracked these interviews, understand from them what worked from them, then formulate your own strategy. But the only thing when it comes to case interview that works is practice, practice, practice. Generally, in my MBA, when I was preparing for consulting interviews, the good rule of thumb was in 3 months, you should have done around 70 case interviews with somebody, your friend, your colleague, your teacher, your career counselor, anybody. 70 case interviews, so that it becomes a muscle memory of different types, that in your sleep, if you are given a profitability problem, you know how to approach that, what is the framework, what is the structure, what is the hypothesis tree you need to build. So repetition will make it a muscle memory. The more you repeat in the right manner, the higher the chance of success. And I will take a pause there. That's all that I have. Happy to answer any questions, anything that you have. Thank you for listening patiently.
Uh, Thank you, Vaibhav. Now I would invite Ravishta to summarize it, and then we will move forward to the Q&A session.
Sure, Satyam. Yeah, I wish I could attend this session before my placements. तो थोड़ा ज़्यादा और भी ज़्यादा हेल्पफुल हो जाता, but I'm sure uh, I know somebody who who can help somebody if they are preparing or planning for a management consultant role. Very detailed and very detailed talk and very crisp, without digressing a lot here and there, Vaibhav. So yes, I'm like, I have to be very frank, I don't have a lot of experience with management consulting role and what they do and all, but now I have personally a lot of clarity. And yeah, it will be very helpful if somebody's in their family, or somebody is preparing for this, younger juniors who are still in college or in doing their MBAs and all. So, and Bev have been very easy to reach out to, so they can get in touch with Bev. uh, and yeah, and I hope this PPT also can be uh, shared across the people who are interested. So thanks, Bev, thanks for doing this. I'm sure this must have taken good amount of time to prepare, but this was neatly done. Thank you.
So, in case we have any questions for the speaker now, you can raise your hand or just unmute yourself and ask. Maybe I will start first because I had one query. Recently, actually, we saw that McKinsey also laid off few of their employees, or give them some option to leave the company. So, how is the consulting as a career susceptible to business cycles, or say a global slowdown?
See, a global slowdown will affect each and every industry, because how consultants make money, they're providing a service to the companies, right? If the companies themselves are in a financial stress, they won't have money to spend on consulting projects, and that will put pressure on consulting firms to cut their costs to remain profitable and remain afloat. A lot of companies in a global slowdown, the boutique firms, sometimes they get shut down also. So consulting is a similar industry. If there's a global slowdown, it will affect everything. There is a cascading effect. It will affect the tech companies, it will affect the oil companies, it will affect the energy companies, it will affect retail companies, and it, it will affect even consulting companies. Only thing that works better, only thing that benefits in a global slowdown is MBA schools. because there's a correlation that in a bad economy the enrollment into MBA schools go higher, the applications go higher. Apart from that, every industry suffers. Having said that, the good part about consulting is that if you are laid off or asked to leave consulting your company, the alumni base is so big, and even your the networks that you have built that I talked about is so huge, and the toolkit that you have gathered anywhere, like toolkit that you have built in consulting, will help you get another job faster and a better job than, let's say, somebody who was fired from, let's say, Mintra today. The prospects of getting somebody getting a job, getting laid off from McKinsey versus Mintra, McKinsey will be far higher because they are a generalist. They can adapt to multiple, multiple industries, functions, and they have network. Ravish, you had a question.
Yes, if you answered this, so basically, I wanted to know whether consultants feel any kind of resistance from the existing employees, because you are getting into somebody's business. People there are working there from a very long time, and somebody who's coming from outside and telling them, you are wrong, you should do this way, and all those things. That is my first question, like how common it is, and how to navigate this. And the second question is that, is there any shift? Although I don't have a lot of experience related to management consulting, as I have told, but जो कैजुअली जो थोड़ी हमारी कंपनी पिछले कंपनी में बातें होती थी कि कंसल्टेंट आते हैं सूट बूट में, ज्ञान देते हैं, पैसा लेते हैं और चले जाते हैं. तो इज देयर एन ओनरशिप on the results, or is there any change that has come, which is more related to the result that has been driven through the project, uh, rather than just completing the project and moving out? So these are my two questions.
Both great questions, Ravish. To answer the first question, that is a very common thing that you mentioned, that people are mostly always apprehensive of external consultants. Even when I was in Samsung as as part of their internal strategy group, reporting directly to chairman's office, even working with different teams in Samsung, they were like, who is this person? First of all, I was not Korean. Who is this not Korean person who is telling me that maybe I can do my job better? So that's a very common phenomenon in in consulting, and especially that is prevalent at more middle management to lower management, because higher management, they know the value the consultants add. The middle management are the folks where you just go to understand problems and you go to interview them. So they're very apprehensive that, oh, how much should I say truthfully, what should I say, what should I not say. And a lot of time what happens, a lot of consulting projects is on cost optimization, which results into job cutting. And that's another reason why people are very wary of consultants. Even in a normal project also, they don't like consultants. And that's why when I was talking about the 8 successful traits of a consultant, this interpersonal and communication skill becomes most important. Like, the people most successful in consulting are those who can make their client feel at ease at across levels. With the same ease, they can talk to a middle management person to give them comfort that, hey, I'm not here to cut your job but to help you. At this, with the same ease that they can tell to a CXO that, hey, this is the thing that you should do to improve your business or solve your problem. So that is where the interpersonal skills becomes very important. It varies by person to person, but that's also is taught and trained on that part. When you go into consulting, you will sit through a lot of training. They will give you a lot of do's and more than do's don'ts, that things you should not do in front of a client, you should not say. And that's helps you overcome that initial hurdle of suspicion against a consultant. I hope that answers the question, Ravish.
Yes,
Okay.
that answers my question.
Coming to the second question, where the impact that consultants have, and there is a good this in the industry, that there's a joke, right? What do consultants do? They will come to you, They will ask the time from your watch. They'll take your watch, look at the time, tell you the time, give back your watch, and then charge you $1 million for that. That is the general perception of consultants, that they don't do anything, they just charge money. And to that level, it was justified 10-15 years ago. And that is the reason where, if you see, there's a big shift in consulting landscape also, from just doing strategy consulting to now clients are holding the consulting firms accountable for the implementation of their recommendations, one. And second, they're not going back to the same firm if they don't see the result. So there's a result or impact consulting 2.0 that's coming up, where the consulting firms are more conscious about actually driving a result, and not just give theoretical recommendations, which lot many times they also know that it's impossible to be implemented, and they'll just wash off their hands. So there's a shift, gradual shift towards doing more impact oriented consulting, and not just a strategic high level 30,000 feet consulting. But maybe this shift is not fast enough. But the point is that this consulting industry is evolving just like any other industry, and they are moving towards the right direction, because the client have become more miser. They want to see the ROI on their spend now more than ever.
Yeah, that's I think that's the right direction to go forward.
And how do you see the like consulting as a consulting evolving over time? Especially now we have artificial intelligence, so a lot of problems. I see Chat GPT gives a certain answer, but over time this will get more sophisticated. Maybe give some appropriate answer or some logical solution for your complex situations. So, is AI going to somehow replace certain functions that the consultants do currently?
See, I am no expert in AI, so I can only talk about from what I read and little bit understand. Right, there was one article or report from BCG which said that over the next 5 to 10 years, AI will do 40% of the work that consultants do today, and those are the mundane jobs like doing analysis on Excel sheets. AI will be able to do that rather than needing people to do it, and people will be more focused on the qualitative side of a project, the human touch of a project, looking at something creative rather than just a repetitive or uh, obvious answers. Creativity will be the sole driver for people in consulting. So definitely, Gen AI is gonna disrupt a lot of industry, and as BCG said that maybe 40% of the work today that consultants do will be automated, but it's anybody's guess. Just like AR, VR, AI is the new thing which is being said to replace a lot of job. We'll have to wait and watch. That's my opinion on how much actually it is able to do versus what part of that is just hype.
Yeah, true. In fact, I'd like to add something. So one of my friend is actually running a company which helps the students to, with their homeworks and all based in US projects and everything. And when this Chat GPT came up last year, so, I was the first one to call him after the launch, after 1 month, saying that, now your business is gone. Like people can directly pose the question on Chat GPT, and they can get the answer. They can do iterations and reiterations and get a unique answer so as well. And he was also worried. I was also worried. But it's been 1 year. He's doing still doing well. His company is still profitable. So if that company is not yet disrupted, then I think the I'm not saying that I'm skeptical. It is very powerful AI, and yeah, a lot of it will impact a lot of developers, software developers who are writing, not solving very tough problem, but doing some day-to-day coding stuff. But I think it's yet to actually disrupt anything, but it can. So I'm not saying it won't, but I'm yet to see that. big impact, and the one place I thought it will, create that immediate impact. So I don't see anything happening there.
Great. Satyam, I don't. I think if there are no further questions, I think we
Vaibhav,
can
Vaibhav, Vaibhav,
conclude.
Vaibhav, Vaibhav.
Oh, hi, hi, Samda.
Fantastic, fantastic. Lovely listening to you. अच्छा ये बताओ, I could understand everything. See, I'm not into this sector at all. You know, I am not belonging to this sector. So I'm also reading a bit of management and all that. But isn't the job of a manager to actually troubleshoot the whole consulting process himself? Or they are
Sorry.
coming to an expert? I'm telling you, you are into consultancy business because you are giving them a solution. While the definition of manager itself is a problem solver for the company. So is it their incapability for which they come to you? Did you get me
Okay.
what I'm trying to say? So
Yes,
they have built.
I think I touched about it initially. Might not have been audible. So there are three primary reasons because of which any company hires a consulting firm. Right. First is they don't have the resources in terms of time to execute that problem, and they have an internal bias also. Second problem is they want an external view, right? They want an external view of what actually the problem is. Lot many times it's like कुएं का मेढक, आप बाहर से देख ही नहीं पा रहे हो कहाँ हो, आप क्या गलत कर रहे हो क्या नहीं कर रहे हो. So they want external view, and there also there's little bit of politics where not a CEO but let's say a CMO wants more funds to run something, to run new marketing campaign. So if they go to CEO directly, the CEO will not give the money, but versus if it comes as a recommendation from external firm like McKinsey, CEO will approve it most, like higher probability of approval, right?
Okay, I
And the
missed the
third
initial
part,
part in case you have covered
sorry,
this. I missed the initial part in case you have covered this.
yeah. And
मैं
the
पूरा
third
पाँच
part
मिनट
is
बाद-
basically these consulting firms, because they have been doing this for such a long time, they have data and resources which a company internally won't have. Let's say there's a company in India which is struggling in energy sector. Now India is, let's say, 15 years behind China in that domain. A McKinsey would have done the project, same project in China 15 years ago, and can bring the ideas from there, which a company internally can't do. So there are three, four major factors because of which a consulting firm is employed. Okay.
Thank you. Lovely listening to you.
Thank you.
In case anybody has few more questions or any comments, then you can ask, or otherwise we can close it discussion. I don't see any
Hello, bye bye.
responses.
Have a
Uh,
nice weekend.
I-
Everyone have a nice weekend. Satyam, we can close the meeting, I
Okay,
guess.
okay. So thank you everybody. Thank you, Vaibhav, for
Thank
this
you.
nice interactive session. I think we all enjoyed it, and all of us learned something. We all have people around us who are actually exploring various career opportunities. I think we all can at least in some form or the other guide or maybe connect with people who now have some knowledge about this career. So thank you, Vaibhav and Ravishda, for your time and effort. I think now I will stop the recording, and in case anybody would like to stay for some informal chat, then we can stay for maybe 5 more